Chapter 2683. There was no pop-up window for free reading. Moon Sect was on good terms with Dragon Palace. They naturally did not wish to see a conflict between Dragon Palace and Sky Edge Sect. This would put the great sects of the Moon Sect in a difficult position. After all, Dragon Palace had helped them before. However, Sky Edge Sect's strength was not something that Dragon Palace could go against. Even if Moon Sect were to lend a hand, they would not be a match for Sky Edge Sect. Shut up. 5 of our elders were killed. This is an irreconcilable grudge. Among all the superpowers, only Dragon Palace has the strength to kill them. Sky Edge Old Ancestor reprimanded coldly when he heard Moon Sect leader's words. This caused the Moon Sect leader's expression to change and an ugly expression appeared on his face. At the same time, his heart trembled. 5 elders were killed. They were existences on the same level as him. Moon Sect only had 4 9th Order Immortal King Realm experts. What? 5 elders of Sky Edge were killed? SSS, that's 5 9th Order Immortal King Realm experts. How is this possible? Dragon Palace killed them? Are they courting death? How dare they kill the elders of Sky Edge Sect? 9 Heavens Great Sect, Heaven Shattering Great Sect, and the other superpowers that were rushing over were shocked when they heard Sky Edge Old Ancestor's words. The death of 5 elders of Sky Edge Sect was a huge matter. Dragon Palace is not the only one who could kill 5 9th Order Immortal King Realm experts. They might have entered the abyss. An old ancestor from Moon Sect said with an ugly expression. Moon Sect, you have no right to speak here. Do you believe that if you speak another word, I will annihilate your entire Moon Sect? Another patriarch of the Sky Edge Sect roared with a cold expression. His words sent a chill down the spines of everyone from Moon Sect. Dragon King, speak. Give me a reason why you are not the culprit. Otherwise, Sky Edge Sect will annihilate all of you. Sky Edge Sect leader stared at Wang Xian and roared with killing intent. Dragon Palace was the biggest suspect. Even if they did not have sufficient evidence, they would still annihilate Dragon Palace if they could not prove that they were not the culprit. They would rather kill the wrong person than let them off. This was the might of their horizon. Around them, the experts and disciples of the other forces from the 4 sects on the Demon Island looked at Wang Xian in unison. They were shocked by Tianya's strength and were waiting for his reply. Sky Edge Sect, why did your elder come to our Dragon Palace for no reason? Wang Xian squinted his eyes and said plainly. In that case, our Sky Edge Sect's elders were killed by your Dragon Palace. As soon as Wang Xian finished his sentence, a Laozu from the Sky Edge Sect took out a mystical divine axe and roared with energy. Haha, when we were hunting the Abyss species, your Sky Edge Sect dared to break into our territory and kill the Abyss species. You even killed the disciples of our Dragon Palace. Do you think I would let go of the trash from your Sky Edge Sect? Seeing their murderous expressions, Wang Xian laughed out loud and said coldly. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, an incomparably violent murderous aura surged in the surroundings. It's really the Dragon Palace. They actually dared to kill the elders of our Sky Edge Sect. The little Dragon Palace is courting death. Kill them. How dare they kill our elders? Annihilate the Dragon Palace. Revenge for killing our elders. Make them pay 10 times or even 100 times the price. How dare a little Dragon Palace kill our elders? Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the experts and disciples of the Sky Edge Sect who surrounded the Dragon Palace were filled with violent expressions. One by one, they raised the weapons in their hands and roared with murderous intent. SSS, this Dragon Palace really killed the elders of the Sky Edge Sect. Are they seeking their own deaths? Even if they're strong, the Dragon Palace isn't qualified to go against the Sky Edge Sect. The Dragon Palace annihilated the elders of the Sky Edge Sect just because they killed the disciples of the Dragon Palace. This is too ferocious. The large sects and forces in the surroundings were also shocked. They were clear about the strength of the Dragon Palace. What was the difference between offending the Sky Edge Sect and courting death? When the sect leader of the Moon Sect and the rest heard this, their expressions changed. They swallowed their saliva and stared blankly at Wang Xian. Good, very good. Dragon King, Since you dare to kill the elders of the Sky Edge sect, this day next year will be your Memorial Day. Violent murderous intent surged from the Sky Edge old ancestor. All the experts and disciples of the Sky Edge sect around him exuded a sharp aura. Yes, very good. If the Sky Edge dares to kill the people of the Dragon Palace, I'll slaughter them. Wang Xian smiled faintly. The reason why the elders of the Sky Edge sect killed the people of the Dragon Palace was to justify their actions. This Dragon King is so arrogant and presumptuous. He's totally looking down on the Sky Edge sect. All the experts were shocked when they heard Wang Xian's words. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace had never looked down on the Sky Edge sect. All the disciples of the Sky Edge sect, kill them all. I want to annihilate everyone from the Dragon Palace. Leave no one alive. Anyone who dares to help the Dragon Palace will be our mortal enemy. We won't rest until we're dead. The Sky Edge sect leader stood on the Sky Edge ruler and ordered loudly. Kill. Tens of millions of disciples around him raised the weapons in their hands. Their murderous intent was overwhelming. I'm going to destroy your Dragon Peak. The Sky Edge sect leader murmured. As he moved his arm, a gush of energy surged into the Sky Edge ruler. Behind him, two elders came to his left and right and similarly injected energy into the Sky Edge ruler. Wang. The entire Sky Edge ruler trembled slightly. It emitted a metallic radiance and a vast power of law that spread to the surroundings. The battle is about to break out. The Dragon Palace is courting death. How dare they start a battle at this time? This is the time when the Abyss is invading. To fight amongst themselves at this time. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace and the rest are really stupid. Some of the surrounding experts were shocked when they saw this scene. Some of them retreated to the back. No one was willing to see an internal conflict during the period when the Abyss was invading. Even the two Laozu from the Nine Clouds sect frowned. However, they couldn't say anything. The Dragon Palace had killed 5 elders of the Sky Edge sect. This was an irreconcilable feud. It was impossible for the Sky Edge sect to not take action. At the back, the Moon sect and the rest were extremely embarrassed. They glanced at the experts from the Sky Edge sect who were brimming with murderous intent. They gritted their teeth and were hesitant. Kill. At this time, a cold roar reverberated across the area. Sky Edge ruler. Slay the gods and demons with a ruler. The voice of the Sky Edge sect leader continued. The Sky Edge ruler erupted with energy that was condensed from the law. The ruler instantly grew to a length of over 10,000 kilometers and charged towards the center of the Dragon Peak. Tens of millions of experts and disciples from the Sky Edge sect also launched their attacks. Disciples of the Dragon Palace, kill. Wang Xian saw the Sky Edge sect attacking him. He licked his lips and ordered with a stern face. Swish, swish, swish. As the order was given, countless arrows flew out from the Dragon Peak and attacked the tens of millions of disciples from the Sky Edge sect. Hualala. At the same time, 3 monsters formed by condensing thorns were formed in front of the Dragon Peak. Swish. One of the thorny monsters saw the Sky Edge ruler heading towards the Dragon Peak and swept it away. Chapter 2684. Trying to block the Horizon ruler's attack? Dream on. The Horizon ruler's full power isn't any weaker than an undying God King's attack. On the World Edge ruler, the World Edge sect master had a cold look on his face when he saw a thorny monster sweeping towards the World Edge ruler's attack. In the sky, old ancestor Sky's Edge slowly raised the divine axe in his hand and also released a terrifying attack. Genesis Splitter. He let out a soft roar, and an earthy yellow energy tore apart the void within a radius of 4 to 500 million kilometers. This grey energy in the form of a divine axe directly slashed towards Long Feng. 2 pinnacle undying God King level powers shot out. Oh no, the Dragon Palace won't be able to withstand it. Seeing this scene, the experts and disciples of the great sects of the Moon, as well as the people of the Beichuan clan who rushed over from behind, were shocked. But against an undying God King level attack, there was nothing they could do. Boom. However, the thorny monster's thorns had already landed on the World's Edge ruler's energy. A terrifying collision sound rang out, and majestic energy surged in all directions. What? When the experts from the surrounding forces saw the collision, exclamations soon rang out. He blocked it. How is that possible? The World's Edge sect master stood on the World's Edge ruler and stared ahead with a shocked expression on his face. The attack of the thorny monster had actually blocked the attack of the World's Edge ruler. Boom! At this time, another terrifying collision sounded. In the sky above, the huge divine axe that was condensed from the nomological laws also slowly collapsed under the attack of a thorny monster. What? Both attacks were blocked by Dragon Palace. Those were attacks from undying god kings. This, when the two ancestors of the continent of the Nine Clouds, the other strong cultivators and the strong cultivators of the other influential groups saw that, their pupils shrank. Blocking Heaven's Horizon ruler's attack was already surprising, but old ancestor Sky Horizon's attack was also blocked. This meant that Dragon Palace could fight against undying god king pinnacle experts. No wonder you dared to kill our Heaven's Edge Zelda. So your Dragon Palace also has peak undying god king experts. No wonder. When the two patriarchs from the World's Edge saw this, their expressions changed slightly. However, do you think you can fight us with peak immortal god king battle prowess? Kill. That undying god king peak old ancestor who didn't make a move had a baleful look on his face. A pagoda appeared in his hand. He waved his arm and the pagoda instantly blossomed with terrifying flames, expanding to a few million kilometer wide. He flew above the pagoda and waved his arm. Flaming flowers were released from the first level of the pagoda. Countless flaming flowers enveloped an area of over 100 million kilometers and bombarded Dragon Peak. Hualala. At this time, the old ancestor of the World's Edge sect continued to attack. The three thorny monsters immediately moved to meet their attacks. The thorny vines waved about, also enveloping an area of over 100 million kilometers. Two of them locked onto the two patriarchs of the World's Edge sects, and one of them locked onto the World Horizon ruler. Boom boom boom. Terrifying energy fluctuations and a vast war instantly broke out. Retreat. Retreat to the rear immediately. The surrounding factions, even the great sects, immediately retreated. Just the shockwaves from a battle between peak undying god kings was not something others could withstand. Ah. Just then, a series of screams rang out from the surroundings. It was a very sudden sound. The cries caused the hearts of the surrounding World's Edge disciples to tighten. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly looked towards the source of the sound, towards the left of Dragon Peak. That is not good, Elder Mu. The cries attracted the attention of many. When the Sky Edge disciples looked over, their expressions changed drastically. On the left, Elder Mu led a group of World's Edge disciples to defend against the arrows coming from Dragon Peak. When Elder Mu blocked an arrow from an undying god king archer, a black and white figure suddenly appeared behind him. That eerie figure's sharp claws pierced into Elder Mu's body the moment he unleashed his powerful attack. Those scythe-like claws even sliced off half of Elder Mu's head. In the surroundings, there were also those eerie black and white creatures that pierced through Sky Edge's experts in the same way. An elder, 10 deacons, and over 10,000 godly king experts from the Horizon sect on the left were present. Seeing this, whether it was Sky Edge's experts or disciples, 9 cloud-splitting heavens, moon, or other factions, they all felt their scalps prickling. The war had only just begun. The archers of Dragon Palace were engaged in several rounds of attacks with the disciples of Tienya. Suddenly, tens of thousands of Sky Edge undying god king experts were killed. This horrifying scene caused even the two ancestors from 9 cloud splitting to be shocked. Roar. Dragon Palace, you're courting death. When the two patriarchs from the World's Edge saw this scene on the left, their eyes instantly turned bloodshot. They roared like wild beasts. In an instant, tens of thousands of undying god king experts and an elder were killed. What did that mean? The entire Sky Edge only had 80,000 to 90,000 undying god king experts, and they had lost 1/9 of them. Most importantly, another elder had been killed. This was a peak expert of the 9th Order undying god king realm. Including this elder, a total of 6 elders had died at the hands of Dragon Palace. More than a third of the Sky Edge's Type 9 experts. Su. Old Ancestor Sky Edge's roar was useless. In front, the thorny creatures were already right in front of them. Break for me. Old Ancestor Sky's Edge raised his divine axe with both hands and hacked at the thorns in front of him. Pang! A terrifying collision sound rang out, and in the next second, Old Ancestor Sky's Edge, who was holding onto the divine axe, was sent flying backward. How is this possible? He could not help but roar. At the side, Old Ancestor Sky Edge was surrounded by the thorny creatures. Flames landed on the thorny creatures, but they did not break through their defense. His expression also changed drastically, and he suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. All members of Dragon Palace, attack. Kill. Wang Xian saw this and his eyes flashed coldly. With a wave of his arm, the 5 elements grindstone floated above the dragon peak and attacked all the experts and disciples of the World Edge sects who surrounded them. Su. Within Dragon Peak, the rest of the Starwood dragons flew out as well. 60,000 Undying God King experts from Dragon Palace attack. Chapter 2685. Hiss. Is this the power of the Dragon Palace? The 2 patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect and the sect master of the Sky Edge sect are all restrained by the Dragon Palace. There are so many Undying God Kings in Dragon Palace. Another 10,000 flew out, plus at least 30,000 archers. That should be close to 60,000 Undying God Kings, right? The most terrifying thing is still that strange black and white creature. Just now, no one noticed that group of creatures at all. More than 10,000 Undying God Kings were killed. Too terrifying. Look at those 3 thorny monsters. They are completely suppressing the 2 patriarchs and the sect master of the World Edge sect. When the 10,000 Undying God King level Starwood dragons charged out, the experts and disciples of the large sects and factions saw this scene and were filled with shock. Within a dragon peak, not only did creatures that could fight against Undying God Kings rush out, there were also close to 60,000 Undying God King level experts. The number of Undying God Kings in the Sky Edge Great Sect could reach 70,000 to 80,000, but this time, there were less than 50,000. And out of these 50,000, more than 10,000 were instantly killed by the mysterious demon and the others. Another very important point was that the Dragon Palace had already slaughtered 6 of the Sky Edge sect's elders. In terms of high-end combat power, the Dragon Palace had an overwhelming advantage. Not good, the Dragon Palace has 7 to 8 Ninth Order Immortal God King realm experts. When all the Starwood dragon seeds rushed out of the Dragon Peak and charged toward the experts and disciples of the Horizon sect who were besieging the Dragon Peak, one of the elders roared in shock and anger when he sensed the terrifying auras. Their World's Edge had 15 Ninth Order Undying God King realm experts. The sect leader and 2 elders had to control the World's Edge ruler. 6 elders had been killed, and 2 elders were left to guard the World's Edge sect. Their side only had 4 Ninth Order Undying God King realm experts. They were no match for the Dragon Palace. What made them even more shocked was that the close to 60,000 members of Dragon Palace were all Undying God Kings. There were none below Undying God King level. They were Eternal God Lord level disciples, but against the attacks of Undying God Kings, they could only be slaughtered. Su. When the Starwood dragon species rushed out, thorns spread out to cover the surroundings. The sky was filled with arrows and thorns. In an instant, over 1 million disciples of the Horizon sect were killed. Ah! Screams resounded, and the expressions of the experts from the Horizon sect changed slightly. Their eyes revealed a violent murderous aura. Kill them. Although the World's Edge sect was slightly weaker, it wasn't as if they didn't have the slightest ability to resist. Buzz. At this moment, the 10,000-odd mysterious demons moved and hid themselves in the void. All World's Edge disciples, be careful. Pay attention to that strange assassin. When one of the elders saw this, his expression changed slightly, and he immediately warned loudly. Elder, they're too strong. We're not their match. In the rear, a group of Eternal God Lord level disciples watched the battle with fear in their hearts. The battle in front of them was not something they could participate in. Just being swept by the shockwaves of an Undying God King battle was enough to kill them. Only those with the strength of a God King could fight in this battlefield. The rest weren't qualified. This made the tens of millions of disciples of the Horizon sect panic. Not to mention surrounding the Dragon Palace, they would be considered lucky if they could fly for dozens of kilometers without dying. Buzz. In the sky above, the five elements grindstone swept towards the surroundings. Seeing the terrifying attack, the elder of the Horizon sect had to block it. If he didn't, many disciples of the Horizon sect would be killed. Swoosh. However, just as he was about to block the attack, an arrow shot towards him. Oh no. The elder's expression changed drastically. He quickly retreated and gave up on blocking. Buzz. The river of annihilation swept across, carving out a domain of death. The faces of the Horizon sect's disciples were filled with horror. No, no. Screams resounded as hundreds of thousands of disciples who were engulfed fled frantically. However, they were simply too weak. They didn't even have time to return to their eternal divine nation before they were obliterated. The Horizon sect isn't Dragon Palace's match at all. If this continues, all their disciples will be killed. The disciples of the Horizon sect have gathered to surround the Dragon Peak. They're waiting for Dragon Palace to kill them. Dragon Palace is so powerful. The Horizon sect is in big trouble. All the experts and disciples from the surrounding forces were shocked when they saw the scene on the battlefield. Who could have imagined such a situation? At first, everyone thought that Dragon Palace was stupid enough to court death. Now, it seemed that it was the Horizon sect that was stupid. Surrounding the Dragon Peak with such strength was no different from courting death. Sect Master, Forefather, we aren't their match. After a short clash, the group of Undying God King level experts lost their will to fight and roared in fear. Damn it! How can Dragon Palace be so strong? Above, the two forefathers of the Horizon sect, the Sect Master, and the Elder on the Horizon Ruler were in a state of shock. They dodged the attack of the Thorn Monster with difficulty. Hearing the voices below, their hearts trembled violently. They knew that the Horizon sect wasn't Dragon Palace's match. They were going to lose. All experts and disciples, run. One of the forefathers of the Horizon sect gritted his teeth. His arm was instantly severed by the Thorn Monster. He roared in anger. Defeated, completely defeated. You're too naive to think of escaping now. How can we let you get away so easily if you want to destroy Dragon Palace? Wang Xian stood on the command platform. When he heard the voice of old ancestor Sky's Edge, his face turned cold. At the side, the heavenly formation's arm moved, and a strange space slowly covered the area in front of them. Black hole disturbance. While the heavenly formation was controlling the Thorn Monster, he had already diverted some of his energy to set up this formation. When the formation was activated, it rapidly spread forward at a terrifying speed, enveloping a radius of 1 billion kilometers. The sudden change in the surrounding space made everyone pale. A bad feeling gripped their hearts. Oh no. Elder, Forefather, I can't sense my eternal divine nation. I can't return to it. A panicked voice rang out as a God-Lord disciple panicked. They weren't a match to begin with. If the fight dragged on, they would all die. They couldn't return to their divine nations either. What was the difference between waiting for death? This is a formation, a powerful trapping formation. One of the patriarchs from the World's Edge sect was also terrified. Break the formation. Break the formation. Chapter 2686. This, Sky Edge sect leader's angry and resentful voice was still echoing in the sky. Other than the 7 million floating corpses, there were no disciples of Sky Edge sect around Dragon Peak. Looking at the floating corpses on Dragon Peak, everyone shuddered. An elder of Sky Edge sect had snatched the Abyss Seed from Dragon Palace and killed a disciple of Dragon Palace. In the end, Sky Edge sect had to pay such a heavy price. How did the forces of Dragon Palace's Dragon King become so strong? On the left, the Moon sect's Beichuan clan and the other forces watched this scene with their mouths agape. They knew a little about Dragon Palace's strength, but what they had shown today had shocked them. Sect leader Yu, Dragon Peak seems to be stronger than before. It's even more powerful now. A Laozu from Ancient God Dynasty whispered to Sect leader Yu and the rest. Sect leader Yu and the rest nodded. They could sense the changes in Dragon Peak. The array master in Dragon Palace must have made a breakthrough. That's why he can go against Sky Edge sect. A Lao Tzu from Yu Dynasty whispered. Dragon Palace is the pinnacle of the Demon Islands. Sky Edge sect was defeated and Nine Cloud sect is definitely not a match for Dragon Palace. Sect leader Yu lamented. To be invincible on the Demon Islands, Dragon Palace's strength was indeed terrifying. Let's pay them a visit, said the two ancestors of the continent of the Nine Clouds, glancing at each other. After witnessing Dragon Palace's terrifying strength, Nine Clouds sect had to be on good terms with Dragon Palace to avoid future conflicts. Otherwise, they might learn from Sky Edge's mistakes. They looked at the surrounding corpses of Sky Edge sect. There were over 18,000 divine kings. Moreover, they recognized that there were 2 corpses of Sky Edge elders. In addition to the 5 that had gone missing, there were a total of 7. That was almost half of Sky Edge's peak combat strength. How terrifying! The Lao Tzu from Sky Breaking sect exclaimed in shock. When he saw Lao Tzu from Nine Clouds sect flying over, he immediately followed behind. Dragon Palace's strength is really extraordinary. Congratulations on defeating Sky Edge sect. Lao Tzu from Nine Clouds sect flew over and congratulated Wang Xian. Thank you very much, cultivators of the continent of the Nine Clouds. The Dragon Palace has no intention of becoming enemies with anyone. Wang Xian cupped his hands at the Lao Tzu of the Nine Heavens and replied politely. After all, both of them were peak undying God King existences, they deserved to be treated as equals by Dragon Palace. Congratulations, Dragon King. Congratulations to the Dragon Palace. In the future, if the Demon Island or the Dragon Palace needs anything, our Duantian Heavens will definitely support you. The sect leader and progenitor of the heaven-shattering sect flew over and greeted respectfully. The Broken Heaven sect was weaker than Nine Cloud Cliff, so they had to be humble in front of the Dragon Palace. Thank you. Everyone, we need to settle things here first before heading to the center of the Devil Island. Perhaps in the future, we will become neighbors. In the future, our Dragon Palace will also protect the Devil Island together with everyone. Wang Xian said with a smile. Then we shall not disturb the Dragon King. The experts of the Nine Clouds sect and the Sky-Shattering sect were startled, but they quickly nodded. Wang Xian's meaning was clear. He was telling them that they were going to Tianya's territory and occupy it. The Dragon Palace would replace the World Edge sects. As for the people from the World Edge sect, they had probably fled to other places. Otherwise, given the strength of the Dragon Palace, they wouldn't be able to resist. Congratulations to the Dragon Palace, congratulations to the Dragon King, congratulations, Dragon King. In the surrounding area, the experts of the various forces shouted in a flattering manner. They had witnessed the crushing defeat of the World Edge sect. In the future, when the Dragon Palace settled on the Devil Island, they naturally had to lick their boots. Congratulations, Dragon King. Is the Dragon Palace going to settle on the Devil Island in the future? The experts from the Moon sect, Beichuan sect, Dragon Python group, and Ancient God Dynasty exchanged glances before flying towards the Dragon Peak. Yes, we are going to occupy the territory of the World Edge. Wang Xian nodded his head. That's even better. In the future, our forces will be much closer to the territory of the Dragon Palace. The Moon sect leader and the rest replied with smiles. All right, our Dragon Palace will be heading to the center of the Devil Island immediately. Wang Xian said. All right, we will rush back immediately. The Moon sect leader and the rest of the experts replied immediately. Let's go. Wang Xian looked around and collected all the corpses. He flew to the command platform and spoke to the Sky Array. Yes, Dragon King. Sky Array nodded his head with a smile. The Dragon Peak was activated and flew towards the center of the Devil Island. All the forces behind watched in bewilderment as the towering Dragon Peak gradually flew into the distance. Who would have thought that an external force, the Dragon Palace, would step onto the stage of the Devil Island today? All the experts could not help but sigh. Inform all the disciples of the Nine Clouds sect not to offend anyone from the Dragon Palace in the future. The two old men from the Nine Clouds sect ordered the sect leader after a moment of silence. The strength of the Dragon Palace was already terrifying. Now that they had obtained the ultimate treasure of the world's edge, Dragon King, other than the corpses, the biggest reward this time is the world's edge ruler. On the Dragon Peak, Sky Array looked at the world's edge ruler with a smile as he spoke to Wang Xian. Everyone from the Sky Edge sect returned to their own holy kingdom instantly. Naturally, they could not bring the world's edge ruler with them. Wang Xian looked over. With a swift move, he landed on the horizon ruler. At the last moment, the sect leader and two elders of the Sky Edge sect sacrificed themselves, causing the world's edge ruler to explode with immense power. Wang Xian came to the front of the world's edge ruler and sized it up. The wind attribute divine tool possessed incomparably powerful might. The ultimate treasure of the Sky Edge sect. The world's edge ruler is a pinnacle God King treasure. With 3 9th Order God King realm experts controlling it, it can explode with the strength of a pinnacle undying God King. It's an extraordinary weapon of war. Sky Array came to the world's edge ruler. This world's edge ruler has intelligence and is loyal to the Sky Edge sect. I need to modify it. I'll leave it to you. With this world's edge ruler, the strength of the Dragon Palace will increase significantly. Wang Xian said. With 3 9th Order God King realm experts controlling the world's edge ruler, they could explode with the strength of a pinnacle undying God King. This was equivalent to adding 7 9th Order God King realm experts to the Dragon Palace. Other than the world's edge ruler, there are many other rewards. Wang Xian murmured. 7 elders' corpses, 4 9th Order God King realm experts' God Kingdoms, 2 9th Order God King realm abyssal species corpses. This time, the Dragon Palace could increase by 11 9th Order God King realm experts. The other cultivation realms could also increase by a lot. With such strength, the Dragon Palace can definitely gain a foothold on the Demon Islands and guard the abyss at the northern border. Wang Xian murmured as a smile appeared on his face. Chapter 2687. There was no pop-up window for free reading. This, Sky Edge sect leader's angry and resentful voice was still echoing in the sky. Other than the 7 million floating corpses, there were no disciples of Sky Edge sect around Dragon Peak. Looking at the floating corpses on Dragon Peak, everyone shuddered. An elder of Sky Edge sect had snatched the Abyss Seed from Dragon Palace and killed a disciple of Dragon Palace. In the end, Sky Edge sect had to pay such a price. How did the forces of Dragon Palace's Dragon King become so strong? On the left, the Moon sect's Beichuan clan and the other forces watched this scene with their mouths agape. They knew a little about the strength of Dragon Palace, but what they had shown today had shocked them. Sect leader Yu, Dragon Peak of Dragon Palace seems to be stronger than before. The energy is more robust. A Laozu from Ancient God Dynasty whispered to sect leader Yu and the rest. Sect leader Yu and the rest nodded. They could sense the changes in Dragon Peak. The array formation master in Dragon Palace must have broken through. That's why he can go against Sky Edge sect. A Laozu from Yu Dynasty whispered. Dragon Palace is the pinnacle of the Demon Islands. Sky Edge sect was defeated and 9 Cloud sect is definitely not a match for Dragon Palace. Sect leader Yu lamented. To be invincible on the Demon Islands, Dragon Palace's strength was indeed terrifying. Let's pay them a visit, said the two ancestors of the continent of the 9 Clouds, glancing at each other. After witnessing the terrifying strength of Dragon Palace, 9 Cloud sect had to be on good terms with Dragon Palace to avoid future conflicts. Otherwise, they might learn from Sky Edge's mistakes. They looked at the surrounding corpses of Sky Edge sect. There were over 18,000 divine kings. Moreover, they recognized that there were 2 corpses of Sky Edge elders. In addition to the 5 that had gone missing previously, there were a total of 7. That was almost half of Sky Edge's peak combat strength. How terrifying! Laozu from Sky Breaking sect exclaimed in shock. When he saw Laozu from 9 Clouds sect flying over, he immediately followed behind. Dragon Palace is really extraordinary. Congratulations to Dragon King for defeating Sky Edge sect. The Laozu of the 9 Clouds sect flew over, cupped his fists and congratulated Wang Xian. Thank you very much, cultivators of the continent of the 9 clouds. The Dragon Palace has no intention of becoming enemies with anyone. Wang Xian cupped his hands at the Laozu of the 9 heavens and replied politely. After all, both of them were peak undying God King existences, they deserve to be treated as equals by Dragon Palace. Congratulations, Dragon King. Congratulations to the Dragon Palace. In the future, if the Demon Island or the Dragon Palace needs anything, our Duantian heavens will definitely support you. The sect leader and progenitor of the heaven-shattering sect flew over and greeted respectfully. The Broken Heaven sect was weaker than 9 Cloud Cliff, so they had to be humble in front of the Dragon Palace. Thank you. Everyone, we need to settle things here first before heading to the center of the Devil Island. Perhaps in the future, we will become neighbors. In the future, our Dragon Palace will also protect the Devil Island together with everyone. Wang Xian said with a smile. Then we shall not disturb the Dragon King. The experts of the 9 Clouds sect and the Sky-Shattering sect were startled, but they quickly nodded. Wang Xian's meaning was clear. He was telling them that they were going to Tianya's territory and occupy it. The Dragon Palace would replace the World Edge sects. As for the people of the World Edge sects, they would probably escape to other places. Otherwise, given the strength of the Dragon Palace, they wouldn't be able to resist. Congratulations to the Dragon Palace, congratulations to the Dragon King, congratulations, Dragon King. In the surrounding area, the experts of the various forces shouted in a flattering manner. They had witnessed the crushing defeat of the World Edge sects. In the future, when the Dragon Palace settled on the Devil Island, they naturally had to lick their boots. Congratulations, Dragon King. Is the Dragon Palace going to settle on the Devil Island in the future? The experts from the Moon Sect, Beichuan Sect, Dragon Python Group, and Ancient God Dynasty exchanged glances before flying towards the Dragon Peak. Yes, we are going to occupy the territory of the World Edge. Wang Xian nodded his head. That's even better. In the future, our forces will be much closer to the territory of the Dragon Palace. The Moon Sect leader and the rest replied with smiles. All right. Our Dragon Palace will be heading to the center of the Devil Island immediately. Wang Xian said. All right, we will rush back immediately. The Moon Sect leader and the rest of the experts replied immediately. Let's go. Wang Xian looked around and saw that all the corpses had been collected. He flew to the command platform and spoke to Tian Zhen. Yes, Dragon King. Tian Zhen nodded his head with a smile. The Dragon Peak was activated and flew towards the center of the Devil Island. Seeing the majestic Dragon Peak flying into the distance, all the forces behind looked on with bewilderment. Who would have expected an external force, the Dragon Palace, to step onto the stage of the Devil Island today? All the experts could not help but sigh. Inform all the disciples of the 9 Clouds sect not to offend anyone from the Dragon Palace in the future. The 2 old men from the 9 Clouds sect ordered the sect leader after a moment of silence. The strength of the Dragon Palace was already terrifying. Now that they had obtained the supreme treasure of the World's Edge, they would not be able to do anything about it. Dragon King, other than the corpses, the biggest reward this time is the Horizon Ruler. On the Dragon Peak, Tianjin looked at the Horizon Ruler in the Dragon Peak and spoke to Wang Xian. Everyone from the Sky Edge sect returned to their own holy kingdom instantly. Naturally, they could not bring the Horizon Ruler with them. Wang Xian looked over. With a swift move, he landed on the Horizon Ruler. At the very end, the sect leader and 2 elders sacrificed themselves, causing the Horizon Ruler to be extremely powerful. Wang Xian came to the front of the Horizon Ruler and sized it up. A wind-attributed divine weapon with immense power. The supreme treasure of the Sky Edge sect. The Horizon Ruler is a supreme treasure of the pinnacle of the God King realm. With 3 Ninth Order God King realm experts controlling it, it can unleash the strength of a pinnacle of the undying God King realm. It's extraordinary and can be considered a powerful weapon of war. Tianzhen came to the Horizon Ruler and said, "This Horizon Ruler has intelligence and is loyal to the Sky Edge sect. I need to modify it. I'll leave it to you. With this Horizon Ruler, the strength of the Dragon Palace will increase significantly," Wang Xian said. With 3 Ninth Order God King realm experts controlling the Horizon Ruler, they could unleash the strength of a pinnacle of the undying God King realm. This was equivalent to adding 7 Ninth Order God King realm experts to the Dragon Palace. Other than the Horizon Ruler, there are many other rewards. Wang Xian murmured. 7 Elders' corpses, 4 Ninth Order God King realm experts' God Kingdoms, and 2 Ninth Order God King realm abyssal species corpses. This time, the Dragon Palace will have 11 more Ninth Order God King realm experts. The other cultivation realms will also increase by a lot. With such strength, the Dragon Palace will be able to gain a foothold on the Devil Island and guard the abyss at the northern border. He murmured and smiled. Chapter 2688. There was no pop-up window for free reading. Whoosh whoosh. Old ancestor, what should we do now? What should we do? According to the news from the east, Dragon Palace is flying towards us. They want to occupy our territory. Damn it. Damn it. 7 of our elders were killed. Patriarch, we have to get revenge. Revenge. Just as Dragon Palace was rushing towards the center of Demon Island, on a planet belonging to Sky Edge sect. Tens of thousands of undying god kings from Sky Edge sect gathered in a palace shrouded in clouds and mist. In front of them, the experts from the great sects of the world's edge growled furiously. Cough, 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 Patriarch, we must avenge this. In the front seats, the sect master and 2 elders looked like people who were about to die. There was no flesh or blood on them at all. They sat there and looked at the 2 ancestors before them, their eyes filled with hatred. Whoosh. The 2 patriarchs of the world's edge sect slowly closed their eyes and took a deep breath. Dragon Palace's strength had far exceeded their expectations. After losing the Sky Edge ruler, they were no match for Dragon Palace. Wait here for a while. After dozens of seconds, one of the old ancestors opened his eyes and said. The other old ancestor also opened his eyes. They exchanged a glance and disappeared. Huh! The people from Sky Edge sect were slightly stunned and fell silent. The current situation was related to the fate of the entire Sky Edge. Only the 2 old ancestors could decide. Will that person help us? At the same time, in a room shrouded in mist, one of the Sky Edge sect's old ancestors asked. The other old ancestor shook his head and didn't know. He looked at the mirror in front of him and waved his arm. Dong, dong, dong. A knocking sound came from the mystical mirror. Brother from Sky Edge sect, what's the matter? An old man's figure appeared in the mysterious mirror. The old man had a flame token on his back and was sitting on a futon. Protector DI, our Sky Edge sect has encountered a powerful enemy. Our disciples have suffered heavy losses and they are heading towards our territory. One of the Sky Edge old ancestors cupped his hands and said, Huh! Your Sky Edge has encountered an enemy. With your strength, not many forces are a match for you. The old man in the mirror was slightly surprised and said, It's the Dragon Palace, a newly risen power. They killed 7 of our elders and millions of disciples. We're not their match. Now, they're rushing towards us. Protector DI, please help us. Old Ancestor Sky's Edge begged with an ugly expression. Dragon Palace? What about the power of the Frost Goddess's master? Are they that strong? In the mirror, Protector DI was slightly surprised. He knew a little about the power of the Dragon Palace. The master of the Frost Goddess on the demonic island seemed to have a close relationship with the current princess of the Imperial Court. Yes, it's that Dragon King. Guardian DI, can you? Old Ancestor Sky's Edge immediately nodded. Now that the war on Imperial Dynasty has broken out, I won't be able to care about World Edge for now. Protector DI said with a thoughtful look on his face. Protector DI, our World Edge sect has done many things for you and the Imperial Court. Now that we are in danger, please help us. Old Ancestor Sky's Edge begged again with an ugly expression. At the moment, we can't leave the Imperial Court. How about this? Your World Edge sect can come to our side and make contributions for the Imperial Court. I will arrange a place for you. Let's talk about everything after the war in the Abyss is over. Also, I will make the Imperial Court announce that during the war in the Imperial Star region, internal strife is prohibited. Anyone who disobeys will be killed. Protector Di said indifferently. The two old ancestors opened their mouths and their expressions changed. The void divine kingdom on the cold night island is about to open. I will give you 2 spots. If you can get a great opportunity, I will have to thank you. At this moment, Protector Di looked at them and said, the void divine kingdom on the cold night island is about to open? The eyes of the 2 patriarchs of the Sky Edge sect flashed with a hint of fervor. They looked at each other. Thank you, Protector Di. The 2 of them cupped their hands and thanked him. Hihi, I will wait for you at the border of the Imperial Court and the Cold Night Island. Protector Di smiled and said. Then, the image disappeared. We have done so many things for the Imperial Court. Now that we are in danger, they are not willing to help. The image disappeared and one of the old ancestors of the World Edge sect shook his head. The Dragon Palace is not simple. Forget it. It is good that Protector Di gave us 2 spots. If we can get a great opportunity, it will be worth it. Although it is illusory, it is a chance for us. As the 2 of them talked, they disappeared again and returned to the main hall of the World Edge sect. All disciples, pack up and head to the border of the Imperial Court and the Cold Night Island. The 2 of them announced as soon as they returned. Old ancestor, are we going to leave this place? When all the disciples of the Sky's Edge heard this, their bodies trembled and their expressions turned extremely ugly. The World Edge sect had been in the center of the Demon Island for hundreds of millions of years. Everyone was unwilling to leave now. We are not a match for the Dragon Palace. When we reach the border of the Imperial Court and the Cold Night Island, we will be protected by the Imperial Court. We will take revenge one day. One of the old ancestors of the World Edge sect shouted with murderous intent in his eyes. Yes, old ancestor. The rest of the disciples nodded solemnly and immediately went out to prepare. They were going to leave this place. The entire Demon Island shook the next day. The news of the World Edge's defeat at the hands of the Dragon Palace hadn't spread yet. When everyone saw all the experts and disciples of the World Edge sect moving to the center of the Imperial Star region, it caused an uproar. Soon, the news that the Dragon Palace had severely injured the World Edge sect and was about to occupy the territory of the World Edge sect spread at a terrifying speed. All the people on the Demon Island were shocked when they heard the news. The World Edge sect was one of the strongest forces on the Demon Island. No one dared to provoke them, but now they were forced to flee by the Dragon Palace. This made everyone feel incredulous. On the artificial intelligence, everyone on the Demon Island was talking about it. Soon, everyone knew what had happened in front of the abyss in the east. Everyone was shocked by the strength of the Dragon Palace. One day later, the Imperial Court suddenly made an announcement to the entire star region on the artificial intelligence. The abyss had invaded and a race war had begun. All human forces were forbidden from fighting among themselves. Anyone who did would be killed. It was a short announcement that everyone in the Imperial Star region could see. Chapter 2689. The Imperial Court actually sent out such a notice at this time? In the vast and boundless universe, Long Feng sped towards the center of the Demon Island at full speed. When Wang Xian switched on the supercomputer, he immediately saw this message. He raised his eyebrows slightly, and his eyes sparkled. It should be related to the battle between the Dragon Palace and the Sky Edge sect. He murmured. He was almost certain. The battle between the Dragon Palace and the Sky Edge sects had just ended, yet there was such a notice. It was obviously a warning. However, Wang Xian didn't take it to heart. The battle had already ended. Moreover, he also saw the news from the artificial intelligence system that the people from the Sky Edge sect had already left the Devil Island. In a short period of time, they wouldn't be able to break out into a battle with the World Edge sect. The Dragon Palace is still not strong enough to destroy the Sky Edge sect. After this upgrade, with the help of the Sky Edge ruler, there is a chance, but the chance is still small. In this battle with Tianya, the Dragon Palace indeed had the ability to crush them. However, there was another very crucial reason why he was able to eliminate so many people from the World Edge sect. That was, the Sky Edge sect had underestimated the enemy and directly surrounded the Dragon Peak, allowing the disciples of Dragon Palace to kill wantonly. However, they were still able to escape in the end. After all, the World Edge sect was a huge force that had stood on the Demon Island for hundreds of millions of years and had many powerful trump cards. After witnessing the strength of the Dragon Palace, it would be difficult for him to have such an opportunity in the future. However, as long as the Dragon Palace improves a little more, it can completely destroy the Sky Edge sect. He murmured as he stood on the podium and stared at the area. Dragon King, here we are. 2 days later, Long Feng arrived at the central region of the Demon Island, the trump card of the World Edge sect. Let's go and take over all the planets of the World's Edge sect. Wang Xian smirked. The people from the Sky Edge sect were afraid that the Dragon Palace would rush over, so they left in a hurry and only took one planet with them before leaving. Currently, there were still more than 100,000 vital planets within the territory of the Sky Edge sects. These vital planets all belonged to the Dragon Palace. Hey! At this time, Wang Xian saw thousands of people standing in the void in front of him. They were looking in his direction as though they were waiting for the arrival of the Dragon Palace. Go! Wang Xian said plainly. Greetings, Dragon King. Greetings, Dragon King. Long Feng drove over and shouted respectfully when he saw over 3,000 people. You are. Wang Xian stood on the podium and swept his gaze across everyone. All of them were Undying God Kings, but the strongest among them was only a 6th-order Undying God King. Dragon King, we are some family clans and businessmen from a planet in the territory of the Tianya sect. All the experts and disciples of the Tianya sect have withdrawn and are now here to welcome the arrival of the Dragon Palace. The 6th-order Immortal King Realm expert said respectfully. All right, your position here will not change. We will soon start taking over all the planets. Looking at the crowd, Wang Xian revealed a smile. With these people, it would be much easier for the Dragon Palace to take over the various planets. Yes, 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 Dragon King. We will do our best to cooperate with you in the following matters. Everyone immediately nodded and said respectfully. Yes, bring us to the best planet at the moment. Wang Xian nodded his head plainly and ordered them. It's Dragon King. The group immediately nodded their heads and led Wang Xian and the rest towards a planet ahead. An hour later, the group arrived in front of a planet. This is indeed the planet of the Tianya sect. It's so much better than the planet where the main Dragon Palace is at. They are not on the same level. Wang Xian looked at the planet ahead. Immortal energy lingered around it, and ancient trees, mountains, and some divine trees could be seen everywhere. He had decided to transfer the main Dragon Palace to this planet. Everyone, please wait for a while on the ocean. As Wang Xian spoke, he flew towards the planet named Gutian and entered the ocean. Wang. He moved and summoned the Dragon Palace. The majestic Dragon Palace appeared, standing in the middle of the ocean. The Dragon Palace had moved again. Prime Minister Turtle, there's a group of people up there. Go and understand the situation in the Tianya sect. Also, bring some people to take over the planets in the territory of the Tianya sect. Wang Xian entered the Dragon Palace and immediately ordered. Yes, Dragon King. All the other disciples of the Dragon Palace, come over and prepare for another round of advancement. Wang Xian said as he came to the Dragon Transformation Pool. Soon, members of the Dragon Palace rushed over with smiles on their faces. Wang Xian stood at the side and turned the corpses into dragon energy. The harvest this time was not small. It allowed the number of immortal god kings in the Dragon Palace to exceed 100,000. And the number of level 9 immortal god kings could also exceed 20. In the next few days, the Dragon Palace started to take over the planets. Sky formation brought people to search for the god countries hidden in the void. In this battle, they killed 7 to 8 million people from the Tianya sect and close to 20,000 immortal god kings. The god countries of these immortal god kings were hidden in the cracks in the void. Finding the god countries in the cracks in the void was a huge resource. At least, it would allow the devouring dragon race to improve greatly. Now, the improvement of the devouring dragon, Aosia, and the others was much slower. Time passed day by day and the Dragon Palace was also improving at an insane rate. Half a month later, the Imperial Court used the AI to announce to everyone in the Imperial Star Domain. The Imperial Star Domain was in an all-out war. The Imperial Court was on the central island. The 3 islands beside it, including the Demon Island, were all invaded by the Abyss. The war between the humans and the Abyss in the Imperial Star Domain had begun. The entire Imperial Court army was mobilized and countless Imperial Court experts rushed to the battlefield. The entire Imperial Star Domain tensed up. Everyone on the AI was discussing the invasion of the Abyss. Emperor Star Maiden also sent news that the elite disciples of the Imperial Court had entered the front lines of the Abyss. Over 20 days ago, Wang Xian had sent an 8th Order Immortal God King and 3 7th Order Immortal God King experts to help the Emperor Star Maiden gain merits. With the help of the Dragon Palace members, the Emperor Star Maiden gained a lot in the first battle. On the Demon Island, the northern front lines continued to expand. However, it would take 3 to 4 months to reach the central area. The Abyss in the east had calmed down after the previous encirclement. There were no more Abyss beasts appearing. Compared to the peace on the Demon Island, the other places were in an uproar. Wang Xian was also paying attention to the battles in other places through the AI. After more than half a month, the promotion of the Dragon Palace members had finally come to an end. As such, he was tempted to increase the speed of the Dragon Palace's strength. Take the initiative to attack. Chapter 2690. There was no pop-up window for free reading. Prime Minister Turtle, how's the situation at the northern front? Wang Xian asked Prime Minister Turtle as he sat on the dragon throne in the main Dragon Palace of planet Gutian in the center of the Demon Island. Below him, Prime Minister Turtle, Tian Zhen, and the other leaders were gathered at the Dragon King Hall. Dragon King, we've gone over to investigate and the results are out. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and looked at Roving Demon. Dragon King, according to our Spiky Dragon's investigation, there are still 2 peak Immortal God King Realm Abyss Demons, 16 9th Order God King Realm Abyss Demons, 55 8th Order God King Realm Abyss Demons, 177th Order God King Realm Abyss Demons, and 50,000 Undying God King Realm Abyss Demons. Roving Demon said to Wang Xian. The Dragon Palace had been stable for 20 days and most of the matters had been settled. Wang Xian wanted to hunt the Abyss species at the northern front. Tian Zhen and the other leaders of the Dragon Palace had the same thought. War was the best and fastest way for the Dragon Palace to improve. How much do you think we'll lose if we take action? Wang Xian's eyes flickered. This number was equivalent to the Abyss species at the eastern side of the Abyss. Given the Dragon Palace's current strength, they could suppress the Abyss species. However, if they really fought, they would suffer losses. Dragon King, even if we lose tens of thousands of Immortal King God Kings, as long as we can exterminate the Abyss species, it'll be a huge gain for us. Tian Zhen's eyes flickered. If the Dragon Palace could kill all the Abyss species at the northern front, it would be a huge gain. What I'm afraid of is if more powerful Abyss species appear in the depths of the Abyss. Then we'll be in trouble. Prime Minister Turtle said. The risk of encircling the Abyss in the north was too high and there were too many uncertainties. 2 peak Immortal King Abyss species. I can control Dragon Peak to hold them down and prevent them from escaping. With the Horizon Ruler, I'm 100% confident of killing the 2 peak Immortal King Abyss species within 15 minutes. Tian Zhen said confidently. The Dragon Palace currently has 21 9th Order Undying God King experts, including the Dragon King. Minus the 3 who are controlling the Horizon Ruler, there are 18 left. 18 against 16 9th Order Undying God King Realm Abyss species. The difference isn't huge, but there's a risk. The other levels are still manageable. Our Dragon Palace experts can suppress them. Prime Minister Turtle said after calculating their strengths. The surrounding leaders of the Dragon Palace pondered for a while. If that was the case, this battle would indeed be difficult. We can first use the Horizon Ruler to kill a few Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss beasts. That way, it won't be a problem. Tian Zhen said. What I'm afraid of is that those 2 peak Undying God King Abyss beasts will tangle with our high-end combat power. Dragon King, there is a way. Prime Minister Turtle shook his head and pondered for a moment before looking at Wang Xian. Oh! Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and gestured for him to continue. Dragon King, We now have hundreds of thousands of habitable planets. Although these planets can bring us benefits, our Dragon Palace values the ocean the most. We can exchange the land. This time, we can go to the Great Moon Sect, the Heaven-Shattering Sect, or even the Nine Heavens Sect and ask them to send some experts. We'll give them the lands of these planets as compensation. Prime Minister Turtle said, or, Dragon King, we have another way. When we killed the Abyss Beasts in the eastern abyss of the Demon Island, they have a large number of corpses and crystals. We can give them the lands of these planets in exchange. That's not a bad idea. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. Go and inform the Heaven-Shattering Sect and Nine Heavens Sect. Ask them if they have any intentions of selling the Abyss Beasts. If they're not willing, then we'll use another method. Yes, Dragon King. I'll contact their sect leader and we'll get the results soon. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and took out his AI to contact them. Wang Xian and the rest sat there and waited quietly. Dragon King, the Nine Heavens Sect is willing to trade with us with 2 rank 9 Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss Beasts. As for Heaven-Shattering Sect, it's a rank 8 one. It's not very useful to us, but it's not bad either. 10 minutes later, Prime Minister Turtle said, let's trade. Also, call the Great Moon Sect over. 2 rank 9 Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss Beasts corpses and 4 Undying God Kings from the Great Moon Sect will do. Wang Xian said after a moment of silence. All right. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and went out to settle it. Greetings, Dragon King. Not long after, sect leader Yu and Tu Laozu rushed over. They looked at Wang Xian and greeted him respectfully. Our Dragon Palace is preparing to hunt the Abyss Beasts at the northern front. We would like to make a trade with the Great Moon Sect. Wang Xian said to them directly. Hunting the Abyss Beasts at the northern front. The sect leader and the rest were taken aback. They knew a little about the number of powerful Abyss Beasts at the northern front. It was no less than the Abyss Beasts at the eastern front. The Abyss Beasts at the eastern front were annihilated by the combined forces of the entire Demon Island. What was the Dragon Palace doing now? Given the strength of our Dragon Palace, we are more than capable of annihilating the Abyss Beasts at the northern front. However, there aren't many rank 9 Undying God Kings that can match up to the Abyss Beasts. Therefore, we would like to invite the 4 from the Great Moon Sect to help us. Of course, if you are willing to help us, we won't let you waste your strength in vain. 1,000 habitable planets. Wang Xian continued speaking to them. We are indebted to the Dragon King. As long as you say the word, we will definitely not reject you. However, we would like to know how confident you are. Also, Old Feng has yet to recover from his injuries. Even with a large amount of resources and treasures, he will still need more than 100 years to recover. The Great Moon Sect leader said. Don't worry. Unless there are more powerful Abyss Beasts rushing over from the depths of the Abyss at the northern front, you guys can come and help us. We are 100% confident that we will be able to recover from Old Feng's injuries in an instant. As Wang Xian spoke, he looked at the newly formed liquid in the moon bay of the ancient pond. With a wave of his arm, the vitality liquid flew towards them. Also, you guys don't have to reject the offer of 1,000 habitable planets. He said plainly. Dragon King, the rewards you have offered are sufficient. As long as you give the order, we will take action immediately. The Great Moon Sect leader and the rest received the vitality liquid and sensed its energy. Shock flashed in their eyes as they replied immediately. All right. 15 days later. We will set off in 15 days. Wang Xian replied immediately. All right. The Great Moon Sect leader and the rest nodded. Excluding the 3 9th level Undying God Kings who can control the Horizon Ruler, with the addition of the 4 of them and the 2 new ones, 16 against 24 should be enough. Wang Xian mumbled to himself with a smile on his face. Chapter 2691. As the days passed, the Dragon Palace exchanged 5,000 habitable planets for 2 rank 9 Immortal King Abyss species corpses from 9 Heavens Great Sect. Subsequently, the 2 corpses were used to strengthen the rank 9 Immortal King Abyss species experts. Over the next 10 days, the Dragon Palace conducted a series of large-scale drills. The Dragon Palace had about 410,000 members, of which over 5,000 were in the logistics and civil service. There were about 405,000 combat members. The Dragon Palace would have to use all its strength to hunt the abyss species at the northern front. There were hundreds of millions of abyss species at the northern front. Of course, many of them were weak immortal realm abyss species. Even so, it was still a considerable force. The Dragon Palace had to send out all its members for this war. 400,000 Dragon Palace members were all out against the hundreds of millions of immortal king abyss species. This time, the Dragon Palace was going all out. Recently, all members of the Dragon Palace had been training in the Dragon Field. After all, there would definitely be deaths in this war. In fact, the number of deaths would not be small. Training now would reduce the number of casualties as much as possible. The revival of the Dragon Palace members would also require a large amount of resources. 15 days passed in the blink of an eye. 2 rank 9 Immortal King Realm members flew out from the Dragon Transformation Pool. Dragon King, all members of the Dragon Palace are ready. The Great Sect has also been informed. They will be here soon. On the afternoon of the 15th day, Prime Minister Turtle came to report to Wang Xian. All right, let's set off now. Without any hesitation, Wang Xian flew out of the room. All members of the Dragon Palace, follow the Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle ordered the members of the Dragon Palace. Yes. In the Dragon Field, all the Dragon Palace disciples who had lined up neatly immediately flew out. Located at the top of planet Gutian, a majestic dragon peak stood there. Beside the dragon peak, there was a ruler-shaped divine weapon, Sky Edge Ruler. Heaven's Eye Arrow Division, Fire Hammer Clan, Starwood Dragon Species, enter the Dragon Peak. The rest of the Dragon Palace members, enter the Sky Edge Ruler. Prime Minister Turtle floated in the air and ordered again. Yes. All the Dragon Palace members answered and flew towards the Dragon Peak and Sky Edge Ruler. Dragon King. Outside, Sect Master Yu and the other 3 deities, and beside them were 5 8th Order Immortal King Realm experts. Other than the people from the Moon Sect, Bei Shuang and the Sect Master of Beichuan Sect, the Dragon Python Group, and the Ancient God Dynasty also sent experts over. There were about 14 8th Order Undying God King Realm experts. Dragon King, I heard that you're going to hunt the abyssal species on the northern front. We're here to help the Dragon Palace. Sect leader Bei Chuan and the rest smiled at Wang Xian. Thank you, everyone. Everyone, let's go to Dragon Peak. Wang Xian nodded at them plainly. The Dragon Palace's hunt for the abyssal species at the northern front was rather secretive. However, the higher-ups of Yu Yu and Beichuan clan also knew about it. They were obviously here to express their goodwill and to show that they were on the same side as the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian did not reject them. Although they were not very strong, they could still reduce the losses of the Dragon Palace. It's Dragon King. The group immediately followed Wang Xian to the back of the podium. Depart. Depart. Prime Minister Turtle, Roving Sword, and another Dragon Guard stood on the Horizon Ruler, controlling it. Prime Minister Turtle looked in the direction of Dragon Peak and shouted. The Heavenly Array responded, and Dragon Peak and Horizon Ruler were activated. Boom. Dragon Peak and Horizon Ruler were both Pinnacle God King grade divine weapons with terrifying speed. Is this the full strength of the Dragon Palace? Behind the podium, the Moon Sect, Beichuan Sect, and the rest had nothing to do at this time. They were sizing up the strength of the Dragon Palace. Soon, they all widened their eyes in shock. Based on my senses, there's no one weaker than an 8th Order Eternal God Lord. There should be about 100,000 God Kings. The Moon Sect Master pursed his lips and said in shock. The weakest was an 8th Order Eternal God Lord, 100,000 God Kings, and a total of 400,000 members of the Dragon Palace. Was this the true strength of the Dragon Palace? Sky Edge Sect was already very strong, with the strength of about 30 million Eternal God Lords. But they only had 30 million Eternal God Lords and below. About 97% of them were 5th Order Eternal God Lord and below. Their overall strength could not be compared to the Dragon Palace. They calculated in their hearts. Only disciples below 9 firmaments, broken heavens, and Sky Edge Eternal God Lord might have a chance against the disciples of the Dragon Palace. The group exchanged glances, their faces filled with shock. The Horizon Ruler Dragon Peak sped along. Over at the northern front, the abyss had expanded by a large margin after more than a month. After flying for 2 days, the vast abyss appeared in their sight. At a glance, the abyss was like a devil, devouring the human world. Dragon Palace members, get ready. Wang Xian looked at the abyss ahead and squinted his eyes. Swish, swish, swish. In the next moment, more than 300,000 disciples flew out from the Horizon Ruler. The 300,000 members of the Dragon Palace were divided into more than 30 armies, with 10,000 people in each army. Among them, the Berserk Dragon species and Imperial Dragon species were the vanguard, followed by the Earthly Lightning Dragon species and Phoenix species, Dragon Guards, Dragon Palace's Poison Division, and lastly, the Dolphin species. Each army was led by a 7th Order Undying God King Realm expert. The group of members came to the side of the Dragon Peak, brimming with fighting spirit and aura. All armies, disperse according to the arrangement above. Tianjin stood in front of the command platform, looking at the situation of the abyss species on the screen. With a wave of his arm, images appeared in front of the army leaders. Yes. The group of army leaders looked over and immediately dispersed in the surroundings. The rest of the Dragon Palace members of the 8th Order Undying God King Realm and above fight against the abyss species of the 8th Order Undying God King Realm and above. This is their distribution. Tianjin waved his arm again, transmitting the distribution of the abyss species of the 8th Order Undying God King Realm and above to the members of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. After the distribution, Tianjin looked at Wang Xian. Dragon Palace members, heed my command, kill. Wang Xian raised his arm and ordered loudly. Yes. Kill. In the next moment, all the members of the Dragon Palace moved, and the armies charged into the abyss. Boom, boom, boom. The Dragon Peak and the Horizon Ruler let out a loud explosion. Swish, swish, swish. On the Dragon Peak, thorny vines covered the ground, and 3 thorny monsters quickly formed, charging towards the center. The center was where the abyss species were the densest. 2 peak stage Undying God King Realm abyssal species were there. Chapter 2692, the first one. Wang Xian revealed a smile when he saw Roving Demon's sharp claws penetrating the heavily injured Undying God King abyss species. The Immortal Slaying Gourd and Roving Demon's attack instantly killed an Undying God King abyss species. In fact, if Wang Xian released the Immortal Slaying Gourd when it was unprepared, he could kill an Undying God King abyss species with just the gourd alone. But when Wang Xian made his move, the abyss species had seen it clearly. But even so, Wang Xian was very satisfied with the results. 15 left. Roving Demon, let's continue hunting the next one. Wang Xian moved and attacked the Undying God King abyss species that Roving Heavens was fighting. This was a humanoid abyss species that looked similar to the Pinnacle God King abyss species. It was about 500 meters in size and its entire body was pitch black. Its ribs were its sharp weapons. Against Roving Heaven's violent attack, this Undying God King abyss species did not seem to be at a disadvantage. Whoosh! At this moment, a sharp sword carrying a terrifying flame directly rushed towards it. The humanoid abyss species felt the power of the flaming sword and was terrified as it tried to dodge, trying to escape. Dream on. Roving Heavens saw the flaming sword and blood-red chains extended from the sea-calming godly needle. The chains wrapped around the humanoid abyss species. The humanoid abyss species was enraged when it saw the blood-red chains wrapping around it. Peng, peng, peng. In the next moment, its body directly split apart, and its bones scattered in all directions. Roving Heavens was shocked to see this strange move. Even Wang Xian had a look of surprise on his face. Peng, peng, peng. However, at this moment, the flaming longsword's attack still landed on the bones of its body, instantly piercing through them. Black blood oozed out from the bones. Roar, roar. Its head, which was sent flying high, let out a miserable cry. Peng. The head wanted to escape, but a blinding white light penetrated its head. Roving Demon waved his hand and threw it towards Roving Heavens. Ha ha. Roving Heavens roared and the godly sea-steadying needle landed heavily on it. The second Undying God King level 9 Abyss species, dead. 14 left. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. Let's go, the next one. He roared and charged towards the Undying God King Abyss seed that Aochi was fighting. Keep it occupied. Roving Demon and Roving Heavens followed behind as they shouted at Aochi. All right. Blood-red chains appeared around Aochi and shot towards the winged Undying God King Abyss type. Boom boom boom. This time, Wang Xian did not use the immortal slaying god's immortal sword. Instead, he grabbed with his dragon claw. Roving Heaven's sea steadying godly needle slammed heavily towards the surface. In a 4-on-1 situation, there were still 2 berserk dragons and 1 spike dragon that could assassinate a spike dragon of the same level. There was no need to continue wasting the immortal sword in the immortal slaying god. The ferocious attacks were unleashed, causing the Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species to reveal a look of shock and fear. As it retreated, it tried to seek support from its comrades. However, the rest of the abyssal species were completely occupied. 20 seconds later, the third Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species died. 13 left. Ha ha ha, kill. Victory was in sight. Wang Xian revealed a look of excitement as he led Roving Demon, Roving Heavens and Aochi towards the remaining Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species. Roar roar. As Wang Xian and the rest surrounded the fourth Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species, the humanoid Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species let out a cry for help. Above, the humanoid pinnacle Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species heard the roar below. Its blood-red eyes looked over and its face was filled with rage. It waved its arm and an incomparably sharp black rib shot towards Wang Xian and the rest. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, the pitch-black ribs were intercepted by a thorny monster in mid-air, and a dense cluster of thorns covered it. On the other side, the other thorn monster also extended countless thorns and directly enveloped Lin Li in a domain. Roar roar. The human-shaped abyssal species roared and waved its arm. The pitch-black ribs on its body extended toward its palm and turned into a giant sword. The humanoid monster wielded a 1,000-meter-long sword and slashed at the surrounding brambles. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Dense thistles and thorns extended from all directions, directly piercing through it. The Heaven Array's array formed these thorny monsters. Every single one of them could kill an existence at the same level as them. In a 2v1 situation, it was even more terrifying. The countless brambles had no space to dodge. The pinnacle Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species wielded its huge sword and slashed in all directions. Peng peng peng. However, after its huge sword slashed through tens of thousands of brambles, the huge sword in its hand was completely covered in brambles. Roar roar. Seeing this, the humanoid Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species let out a furious roar. The bones on its body dispersed and turned into sharp weapons that slashed at the surrounding brambles. Hey! This Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species isn't simple. On Dragon Peak's command platform, Heaven Array watched the battle between the 3 brambles. Seeing the strength of the humanoid Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species, he was shocked. He glanced to the side. Compared to the Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species with 4 pairs of wings, this Abyss species was much stronger and more bizarre. The other one was being suppressed by the brambles and Heaven's Edge ruler. This one was still able to resist. However, that's all. Heaven Array murmured. As soon as he finished his sentence, his entire body changed. The witch dragon with a water elemental dragon head and 8 dragon arms appeared. He waved his arm and the 4 dragon arms flew towards the 2 brambles and entered the brambles. In the next moment, the brambles surrounding the humanoid Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species had 2 creepy dragon heads in the middle. The dragon heads were embedded in the brambles and looked slightly ferocious. They stared at the pitch-black bones of the humanoid Undying God King Stage 9 Abyss species. Thick brambles attacked the rib bones one by one. Chapter 2693, Su Su Su. When Tianjin merged his body with the thorn monsters, the strength of the 2 monsters increased tremendously. The tens of thousands of thorns underwent a huge change. Every thorn grew by 2 to 3 meters in diameter, and on the thorns, there was a faint pressure, with the image of a dragon flickering on it. The thorns wrapped around the bones and ribs of the humanoid peak stage God King Abyss species. The head of the humanoid peak stage God King Abyss species was enraged when it saw the thorns wrapping around it. Rumble. In the next instant, tens of thousands of ribs erupted with black flames. The flames were strange and filled with corrosive properties. Ka. However, the thorns were covered with a layer of dragon scales and continued to twine around the bones. Su. The thorns wrapped around it, binding it tightly. Ao. When the head saw this scene, its face was filled with horror and it hurriedly dodged to the side. Trying to escape. Wishful thinking. One of the dragon heads in the center of the thorns monster let out a cold voice. A dense cluster of brambles attacked. Hua lolo. However, just as the thorns were about to cover its head, the entire head split apart, splitting into pieces, escaping from the thorns' attack. The entire head was split into pieces. Eyes, teeth, nose, ears, all of them fled in all directions. Hey! This abyss species is so strange, it feels like it's a biological machine. Tianjin looked at the humanoid peak stage Undying God King Abyss species in shock. Such a strange creature, even with his past experience, he was shocked and amazed. His eyes flickered as he controlled the thorns and prepared to capture it alive. Rumble. Just as Tianjin and Prime Minister Turtle were suppressing the Undying God King Abyss species. Below, Wang Xian was leading Roving Demon, Roving Heavens, Roving Demon, Roving Heavens, and the rest as they slaughtered the Undying God King Realm Abyss species. Around them, the armies of Dragon Palace were also slaughtering the Abyss species. Dragon Palace formed an army of 10,000 people, and each army had 4 Undying God King Abyss species. The Imperial Dragon race focused on defense, while the Berserk Dragon race focused on offense. At the very back, the Dolphin Clan released support energy. With the help of the Dolphin Clan, the Imperial Dragon species withstood the powerful attacks one after another. The Berserk Dragon species could kill without any fear. He did not have to worry about his own life at all. The violent attack quickly reaped the lives of the Abyssal species. In the Dragon Palace, there was no one whose combat power was lower than an Eternal Divine Master's. The God King level combat power of the Dragon Palace was almost double that of the Abyss type. With such a lineup and strength, it was a complete massacre. However, there were bound to be casualties in war. Even though the Dragon Palace was very strong, the unexpected attack still caused many casualties in the Dragon Palace. After all, there were hundreds of millions of abyssal demons. However, this loss was completely within the acceptable range of the Dragon Palace. It was even less than expected. Deafening roars and howls echoed endlessly in the abyss. The 8th one. 10 minutes later, Wang Xian, Ao Chitian, and Ao Yarrow had killed 8 of them. In the entire abyss, more than half of the Undying God King Realm abyssal beasts had been killed. The other 8 were also seriously injured under the siege of the Dragon Palace's experts. Ao Chitian, you guys kill the Undying God King Realm abyssal beasts. Ao Yarrow, let's continue. After Wang Xian gave the order, he flew forward. Yes, Dragon King. Ao Chitian waved his ocean-steadying godly pillar and flew down. There was no longer a need for so many experts in the Undying God King Realm battle. Sect Leader Yu, let's surround them. Wang Xian revealed a smile as he moved and came to the side of Sect Leader Yu and the rest. At this moment, Sect Leader Yu and one of their old ancestors were attacking one. Although they could not kill it, it was an easy battle for them. All right. Seeing Wang Xian's arrival, the 2 of them smiled. Kill. Following which, Wang Xian, Sect Leader Yu and the other 4 charged towards the Undying God King Abyss Seed. In less than a minute, it was easily killed. Dragon King, let's go and help Old Feng and the rest. The 4 of us can handle that one. After killing the Undying God King Realm abyssal demon, one of the old ancestors smiled and said, "All right, be careful." Wang Xian nodded and locked onto the abyssal demon that was fighting Ao Xie and the rest. We're about to win this battle. Sect Leader Yu and the rest looked at the battle around them. Be it above or below, the experts of Dragon Palace had the upper hand. Every member of Dragon Palace is extremely talented and powerful. After this battle, I'm afraid Nine Heavens sect will have to respect Dragon Palace. Old ancestor, you said. Let's go, we cannot drag Dragon Palace down. We have to kill a rank 9 abyssal demon as soon as possible. Sect leader, you roared with a smile. Surround and kill. Two of them rushed over and roared at the other two old ancestors. Ao ao ao. When the battle had reached the 15th minute, a horrifying roar came from above. Did you get rid of one? Hearing this voice, Wang Xian revealed a smile as he lifted his head and looked up. In front of Prime Minister Turtle and the rest was the peak undying God King Realm abyssal demon with 4 wings. At this moment, its body was in a terrible state. Its head was entangled by the thorns, and its life was rapidly disappearing. This heavenly array old man is bragging. He said he would finish off 2 peak God Lord abyssal demons in 15 minutes, but he only finished off 1. At this time, Mo Shou's voice came from the side. Keek, maybe he's senile, and did not calculate properly. Yamata Serpent chuckled. Wang Xian chuckled lightly. Dragon King, we're here to help you. Prime Minister Turtle controlled the Horizon Ruler and flew towards Wang Xian. Beams of energy shot towards the undying God King Realm abyssal demons. With Prime Minister Turtle and the rest controlling the Horizon Ruler, the situation became much easier. The undying God King Realm abyssal demons were quickly killed. After the rank 9 abyssal demons were killed, Dragon Palace's rank 9 abyssal demons were able to kill rank 8 abyssal demons even faster. The battle began to become one-sided. Following this, the speed at which the abyssal demons were being killed increased by 10 times. In the sky, 3 abyssal demons began to surround and attack the peak God King Realm abyssal demon. After another 15 minutes, the entire abyss quietened down. The roars of the abyssal demons turned into cries of agony. Until the current silence. In the entire abyss, only the sky was still filled with battles. Half an hour and they still haven't finished off that peak undying God King Realm abyssal demon. This can't be. Chapter 2694. There was no pop-up window for free reading. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. When Tianjin merged his body with the thorn monsters, the strength of the 2 monsters increased tremendously. The tens of thousands of thorns underwent a huge change. Every thorn grew by 2 to 3 meters in diameter. Moreover, the thorns gave off a faint aura with the silhouette of a dragon flickering on them. The thorns wrapped around the bones and ribs of the humanoid peak stage God King Abyss species. The head of the humanoid peak stage God King Abyss species was enraged when it saw the thorns wrapping around it. Rumble. In the next instant, tens of thousands of ribs erupted with black flames. The flames were strange and filled with corrosive properties. Ka. However, the thorns were covered with a layer of dragon scales and continued to wrap around the bones. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The thorns wrapped around it and bound it tightly. Ao ao. When the head saw this scene, its face was filled with horror and it hurriedly dodged to the side. Trying to escape. Wishful thinking. One of the dragon heads in the center of the thorn monster let out a cold voice. A dense cluster of brambles attacked. Hualala. However, just as the thorns were about to cover its head, the entire head split apart and was separated into pieces, escaping from the thorns. The entire head was separated into pieces. Eyes, teeth, nose, ears, all of them were escaping in all directions. Hey! This abyss species is so strange. It feels like it's a biological machine. Tianjin looked at the humanoid peak stage undying God King Abyss species in shock. Such a strange creature, even with his past experience, he was shocked and amazed. His eyes flickered as he controlled the thorns and prepared to capture it alive. Rumble rumble rumble. Just as Tianjin and Prime Minister Turtle were suppressing the undying God King Abyss species. Below, Wang Xian was leading Roving Demon, Roving Heavens, Roving Demon, Roving Heavens, and the rest as they slaughtered the undying God King Realm Abyss species. Around them, the armies of Dragon Palace were also slaughtering the Abyss species. Dragon Palace formed an army of 10,000 people, and each army had 4 undying God King Abyss species. The Imperial Dragon type focused on defense, while the Berserk type focused on offense. At the very back, the Dolphin clan released support energy. With the help of the Dolphin clan, the Imperial Dragon species withstood the powerful attacks one after another. The Berserk Dragon species could kill without any fear. He did not have to worry about his own life at all. The violent attack quickly reaped the lives of the Abyssal species. In the Dragon Palace, there was no one whose combat power was lower than an eternal divine master's. The God King level combat power of the Dragon Palace was almost double that of the Abyss type. With such a lineup and strength, it was a complete massacre. However, there were bound to be casualties in war. Even though the Dragon Palace was very strong, the unexpected attack still caused many casualties in the Dragon Palace. After all, there were hundreds of millions of abyssal demons. However, this loss was completely within the acceptable range of the Dragon Palace. It was even less than expected. Deafening roars and howls echoed endlessly in the abyss. The eighth one. 10 minutes later, Wang Xian, Ao Chitian, and Ao Yarrow had killed 8 of them. In the entire abyss, more than half of the undying God King realm abyssal beasts had been killed. The remaining 8 were heavily injured under the combined attacks of the Dragon Palace experts. Ao Chitian, you guys kill the undying God King realm abyssal beasts. Ao Yarrow, let's continue. After Wang Xian gave the order, he immediately flew forward. Yes, Dragon King. Ao Chitian waved his sea-calming godly needle and flew down. There was no longer a need for so many experts in the undying God King realm battles. Sect Leader Yu, let's surround them. Wang Xian revealed a smile as he moved and came to the side of Sect Leader Yu and the rest. At this moment, Sect Leader Yu and one of their old ancestors were attacking one. Although they could not kill it, it was an easy battle for them. All right. Seeing Wang Xian's arrival, the two of them smiled. Kill. Following which, Wang Xian and the rest of them attacked the undying God King realm abyssal demon. In less than a minute, it was easily killed. Dragon King, let's go and help Old Feng and the rest. The 4 of us can handle that one. After killing the undying God King realm abyssal demon, one of the old ancestors smiled and said, "All right, be careful." Wang Xian nodded and locked onto the abyssal demon that was fighting Ao Xie and the rest. We're about to win this battle. Sect Leader Yu and the rest looked around. Be it above or below, the experts of Dragon Palace had the upper hand. Every member of Dragon Palace is extremely talented and powerful. After this battle, I'm afraid even 9 Heavens sects will have to respect Dragon Palace. Old Ancestor Yu said. Let's go. We can't drag Dragon Palace down. We have to kill a rank 9 abyssal demon as soon as possible. Sect Leader Yu roared with a smile. Surround and kill. The 2 of them rushed over and shouted at the other 2 old ancestors. Ao Ao Ao. When the battle had reached the 15th minute, a horrifying roar came from the sky. Did you get rid of one? When Wang Xian heard this voice, he revealed a smile and lifted his head to look at the sky. In front of Prime Minister Turtle and the rest was a pinnacle undying God King realm abyssal demon with 4 wings. It was in a terrible state, its head entangled by the thorns, and its life was rapidly draining away. This heavenly array old man is bragging. He said he would finish off 2 pinnacle God Lord abyssal demons in 15 minutes, but only one has been taken care of. Mo Shou's voice came from the side. He, maybe he's senile and miscalculated. Yamata Serpent chuckled. Wang Xian chuckled lightly. Dragon King, we're here to help you. Prime Minister Turtle rode the Horizon Ruler and flew towards Wang Xian, sending beams of energy towards the undying God King realm abyssal demons. With Prime Minister Turtle and the rest using the Horizon Ruler to attack, the situation became easier. One by one, the undying God King realm abyssal demons were killed. After the rank 9 abyssal demons were killed, Dragon Palace's rank 9 abyssal demons were able to kill rank 8 abyssal demons even faster. The battle was starting to become one-sided. Following which, the speed of the abyssal demons being killed increased tenfold. In the sky, 3 abyssal demons began to surround and attack the humanoid pinnacle God King realm abyssal demon. Another 15 minutes passed, and the entire abyss quietened down. The roars of the abyssal demons turned into cries of agony. Until the current silence. In the entire abyss, there was only one battle going on in the sky. Half an hour and they still haven't finished off that pinnacle undying God King realm abyssal demon. This can't be. Chapter 2695. What's wrong with Tianjin? We've dealt with them all. Below, all the abyss species had been annihilated. In the sky, the battle was still going on. Mo Sha raised his head and looked up as he couldn't help but shout out. Given Tianjin's strength, this shouldn't be the case. Prime Minister Turtle frowned slightly and asked with a puzzled expression. Let's go and take a look. Wang Xian was also surprised. In a battle of the same level, the thorn monster formed by Tianjin's formation could easily kill the opponent. Now that it was 3 against 1, it was strange that they still could not deal with it. Wang Xian did not rush into the battlefield but went to the command platform of the Dragon Peak. Dragon King, I've encountered an interesting abyss species. I'm going to capture it alive. Tianjin's eyes flickered when he saw Wang Xian. Oh, capture it alive? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows with a surprised look on his face. Got it. Right at this moment, Tianjin revealed an excited expression. In the sky, where the thorns covered the area, the 3 thorny monsters had sharp bones wrapped around their bodies. In the middle, there were nose, eyes, ears, and other parts that were entangled. This pinnacle immortal king abyss species can split into so many parts. And it doesn't seem to be seriously injured. Wang Xian looked at the parts of the abyss species curiously. If there was vitality in the broken arm of an expert, he could indeed fly with one arm. But after the arm was broken, it was equivalent to being injured. If a immortal king was split into tens of thousands of parts, it would be considered a serious injury. Now that the pinnacle immortal king abyss species had been split into tens of thousands of parts, it seemed to be uninjured. Amazing. I'm going to study it. Dragon King, don't kill this abyss species for now. Let me see if there are any surprises. Tianjin said to Wang Xian. Sure. Restrain it. Let's go. Wang Xian nodded and instructed. Yes, Dragon King. Tianjin answered immediately and took out jade boxes to store the body parts of the pinnacle immortal king abyss species. Victory, return. Standing on the Dragon Peak, Wang Xian swept his gaze across the disciples of Dragon Palace and shouted. Victory, return. Prime Minister Turtle repeated loudly. Yes. All the members of the Dragon Palace responded excitedly. One by one, they flew toward the Dragon Peak and the Horizon Ruler. Dragon King, the results and losses of this battle have been tallied up. In less than an hour, Prime Minister Turtle flew over and spoke to Wang Xian with a smile. Tell me. Wang Xian nodded and replied. In terms of losses, we have an 8th Order Immortal King, 3 7th Order Immortal Kings, 15 6th Order Immortal Kings. That's a total of over 700 Immortal Kings, and about 2,000 disciples below the Godlord realm. Most of them have been absorbed by the soul-returning wood. Prime Minister Turtle said, the number of dead disciples is less than we expected. It's nothing compared to the harvest. This time, there's one undying God King Peak Abyss type corpse, 16 rank 9s, 55 rank 9s, 170 rank 9s. 50,000 undying God King and above corpses, over 300 million other corpses. This time, our Dragon Palace will get a huge upgrade. As he spoke, his eyes shone with excitement. The loss is within the range. The harvest is not bad. Wang Xian nodded his head. This time, the Dragon Palace would have an additional 16 9th Order Immortal King Realm experts. In addition to the original 23, there would be a total of 49th Order Immortal King Realm experts. What was the concept of 49th Order Immortal King Realm experts? It was a lot stronger. In addition, there would be 2 more peak stage Immortal King Realm experts. As he thought of this, he looked to the side and saw Tianjin holding a humanoid peak stage Immortal King Abyss type skeleton, and was studying something. Wang Xian did not disturb him. Dragon Peak and Heaven's Edge Ruler traveled at high speed. 2 days later, they arrived at the center of the Demon Island. Enter the Dragon Palace for a comprehensive upgrade. Wang Xian ordered all the disciples before entering the Dragon Palace. All the members of the Dragon Palace entered the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, who should be the first to break through to the peak stage Immortal King realm? Prime Minister Turtle asked as they arrived at the dragon transformation pool. Let roving heavens do it. Wang Xian said after a moment of silence. Roving demon's upgrade might be useful, but he was strong in assassination. In a head-on battle, he was much weaker than the berserk dragons. If there was another abyss war, roving heavens would be more suitable for it. Tianjin, how's your research on that peak stage immortal king abyss type coming along? He looked to Tianjin by the side. Over the past 2 days, Tianjin had been researching on this thing. Dragon King, I have an idea. I'm prepared to turn this peak stage immortal king abyss type into a biological armor. A biological armor that has life and can raise one's strength, Tianjin said after a moment of silence. Oh, biological armor? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Dragon King, after the Array Grandmaster, one can be called a shaman. Of course, Void God Emperor shamans can only be called junior shamans. In the past, the reason why I was betrayed by my disciple and killed by the Shaman Society was because I obtained a witchcraft manual. Arrays are used by shamans to connect heaven and earth are used by shamans to modify themselves. Powerful shamans would carve arrays in their bodies to strengthen themselves and connect heaven and earth. According to the knowledge in that witchcraft manual, this peak stage immortal king abyss type is a great material. It can't be called a material. As long as it is modified slightly, it can be made into a biological armor. Tianjin said as his eyes shone with wisdom. What will the outcome be? Wang Xian pondered for a moment before asking. Dragon King, this peak stage immortal king abyss type's combat power far surpasses others of the same level. In a one-on-one situation, even the thorns formed by my array is not a match for it. It's not worth it to use it to raise a member of Dragon Palace. After making it into a biological armor, it can fight freely and its combat power will be the same as before. It can also be worn. For example, Dragon King, you can directly attach the biological armor to your body. Your strength will be stacked with that of the biological armor. This is like a special mechanical weapon. Even if it's just a small god, the biological armor will recognize it as its owner. It can also unleash the combat power of a peak stage immortal king. Tianjin said. Oh, that's more suitable than using it to raise a disciple of Dragon Palace. How long will it take to complete the modification? Wang Xian was slightly shocked. It will take some time. Also, Dragon King, I would like to ask you for 2 treasures, Unbeginning Saint Wings and Eternal Embryo Fruit. Tianjin said. Chapter 2696, Inchoate Sacred Wings was a treasure that Heaven Formation had obtained along with the witchcraft. It was also because of the inchoate sacred wings that he could survive. According to Heaven Formation, the inchoate sacred wings was an extremely powerful treasure. Even when he was at his peak, he couldn't see through the material of the inchoate sacred wings. Heaven Formation wanted the inchoate sacred wings to build a biological armor. Of course, it was only temporary. Given the mysteriousness and power of the inchoate sacred wings, it would be a waste. As for consuming the eternal pregnancy fruit, Heaven Formation was preparing to eliminate and give birth to the abyssal spirit of the pinnacle immortal king pinnacle god king. To build a biological armor, one would need to have a trace of intelligence and complete control. This fancy thing is quite interesting. Old man, let's study it together and create a biological armor. We'll add some poison to it. Devilish Orokai looked over curiously and said. Hee, sure. The 2 of you can become witch dragons. I can teach you a thing or 2 in the future. Heaven Formation looked at the 2 of them and said plainly. Hee, it's impossible for us to be your henchmen. We are still waiting for the poison dragons to appear in the Dragon Palace. When the opportunity arises, we will become poison dragons. Your witch dragons are too strenuous. Devilish Orokai shook his head slightly and said. Poison dragons were dark mutated divine dragons. They were also extremely powerful divine dragons. However, the Dragon Palace couldn't turn them into poison dragons. Such mutated divine dragons required powerful treasures and opportunities. Hee. Heaven Formation smiled faintly and left without saying anything. Devilish Orokai and the rest followed. Duan Jinming and the Fire Hammer clan leader followed behind. The pinnacle of blacksmiths was the creator. They could also learn something from the creation of biological armor. Wang Xian smiled when he saw it. Let all the disciples improve, he said plainly. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and started assigning the members of the Dragon Palace to improve. Wang Xian didn't have anything else to do. He looked over at Heaven Formation. In the next 10 days, all the members of the Dragon Palace improved their strength. Meanwhile, something big had happened on the Demon Island. This sensational event came from the Dragon Palace. 10 days after the Dragon Palace conquered the Northern Abyss, the news spread. The first to know about this was the Nine Heavens heaven-shattering sect. The abyss to the east of the Demon Island had been pacified. For the time being, no abyssal race had appeared. The great sect of the Nine Heavens and the heaven-shattering sect had shifted their attention to the abyss to the north of the Demon Island. However, when they sent people to investigate, they found that there were no more abyssal species in the northern abyss, which shocked them. After some investigation, they found out that all the experts of the Dragon Palace had gone out for a mission 10 days ago. Finally, they got specific information from the sect master of Yu Clan. When they found out about this, they were shocked beyond belief. It was even more shocking than when the Dragon Palace severely injured the World Edge sect. Following this, the ancestral patriarchs of the Nine Heavens and the heaven-shattering patriarchs brought valuable gifts and visited the Dragon Palace. If the strength displayed by the Dragon Palace previously made them fearful, then this time, they were terrified. They also understood the strength of the abyssal species in the northern abyss, which was similar to the ones in the east. In the past, the continent of the Nine Clouds, the Broken Heavens sect and the other factions had to work together to stop the abyss species in the east. Now that the Dragon Palace had destroyed such a force, it meant that the Dragon Palace had the strength to destroy the continent of the Nine Clouds and Broken Skies. They had to come and express their goodwill. Wang Xian naturally accepted the visit of the continent of the Nine Clouds and Broken Skies. If he didn't accept it, the other party might panic. Such a shocking matter was not known by ordinary people, only some experts. Following which, the entire Demon Island calmed down. Without the threat of the abyss species, the Demon Island was much more relaxed. However, compared to the peace on the Demon Island, the battles in other places were getting more and more intense. On the artificial intelligence system, there were frequent reports of experts from various sects dying on the Cold Night Island. On the Pingy Island, there were experts from various sects dying. In recent days, the artificial intelligence system even reported the death of an immortal King Pinnacle expert from the Imperial Court. An army of experts was attacked by the abyss species and all of them were annihilated. The battles in other places were getting more and more intense. The people on the Demon Island could feel that the invasion from the abyss in other places was getting fiercer and crueler. Wang Xian also understood some things about the other islands and the central region from the artificial intelligence system. However, this place was very far from the Demon Island, and the members of the Dragon Palace were also in the process of leveling up. Therefore, he didn't pay much attention to it. Dragon King, the leveling up of all the disciples of the Dragon Palace has ended. After a few days, Prime Minister Turtle came to the Dragon King Hall and reported to Wang Xian. Good, let them get used to it. Wang Xian smiled when he heard the news. The strength of the Dragon Palace had reached another peak. Here he, very good, very strong. Haha, Boss Dragon King, take a look. At this time, Moshe's voice was heard from outside. Subsequently, Wang Xian saw a 2,000-meter black humanoid monster entering the Dragon King Hall. It was 2,000 meters tall, and every bone on its body was like a terrifying weapon. On its back, there was a pair of white bone wings that spanned 3,000 to 4,000 meters. Its body was filled with an intense murderous aura. A pinnacle immortal king aura could be felt. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes shone. Wang. Located on the head of this terrifying monster, Moshe flew out from it with an excited face. At this time, Sky Array Orokai, Duan Jinming and the rest also walked in. Is it done? Wang Xian walked over and asked with a smile. Greetings, Dragon King. As soon as he walked over, the humanoid monster went down on one knee and greeted Wang Xian. Dragon King, it's done. It has inherited the strength of the pinnacle immortal king god king abyss species. You are the leader, and you can also enter and control it. Sky Array walked over and said with a smile. It does feel like a mech. Wang Xian placed his palm on its body, and a wave of information was transmitted to him. He moved and entered its body. In the next moment, Wang Xian appeared on its head and could control it with a thought. Similarly, even if he did not control it, it could still fight on its own when in danger. Inside it, Wang Xian's attacks were not affected at all. It was magical. That's strong. I'll call you Dragon Tool from now on, Wang Xian said plainly. Although this kind of thing was fancy, at least at this stage, the Dragon Tool was a powerful combat subordinate. It was also a strong bodyguard. Just nice, my strength has yet to reach the pinnacle immortal king god king. With this, I won't be afraid of pinnacle immortal king existences. Wang Xian chuckled. He was relying on external things. He felt like a tycoon. Chapter 2697, Dragon King, what do you think? Isn't it amazing? Haha, there's a powerful poison in there that the 8 limitless God King realm and I placed on the bones. As long as you injure the enemy, the poison will enter the enemy's body. Even 9th Order Immortal King realm experts will be injured, and 8th Order immortals will die instantly. Inside the Dragon King Palace, Mo Sha smiled and took credit. Your poison is useless. 8th and 9th Order Undying God Kings can't even defend against a dragon weapon. Your poison isn't even comparable to the fiery gold sword and fiery gold hook forged by Duan Jinming and the rest. Tianjin said with a chuckle. Demon Fiend pursed his lips and did not continue speaking. Speaking of which, their poison was indeed of little value. It couldn't be helped. Currently, the weakest department in the entire Dragon Palace was the Dragon Guard Division, Roving Yakshaw, and the Demon Fiend Division. In the Dragon Palace, he was considered a weakling who could only fight one rank higher than him. The fiery gold sword and the fiery gold hook were modified by Duan Jinming and the others from the dragon's body and bones. They could increase the dragon's battle prowess. The current dragon machine was much stronger than before. Wang Xian was very satisfied with the dragon equipment. It was much more suitable than using it to enhance the strength of the members of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, the Imperial Court announced something on the artificial intelligence system. At this moment, Prime Minister Turtle walked over and spoke to Wang Xian. What is it? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and asked Prime Minister Turtle. I just announced that the Imperial Court is recruiting experts. We welcome any expert from the Imperial Star region to come to the Deep Abyss to make contributions. It says that as long as we come to the Imperial Court and kill the Abyss demons, we can accumulate Imperial Court merit points. Merit points are very useful. Right now, the entire Imperial Star region is boiling over. As Prime Minister Turtle spoke, he waved his arm and the image released by the Imperial Court appeared. At the same time, there were some discussions about this announcement. Wang Xian looked over. Just as expected, the Imperial Court had just released a notice regarding the full artificial intelligence system. The Imperial Court's announcement caused the entire Imperial Star region to boil. The main reason was that as long as one had enough merit points, they could become a disciple of the Imperial Court. In fact, as long as one had enough merit points, they would be able to exchange for many precious treasures that would drive people crazy. The Imperial Dynasty actually opened the Imperial Dynasty treasury, and as long as one has merits, one can exchange for it. This foundation is truly terrifying. Wang Xian's face was filled with shock. There were thousands of pages of items to be exchanged, and each page contained thousands of treasures. Even Wang Xian was envious of the treasures inside. Other than these treasures, there were cultivation techniques, guidance from experts, and some cultivation treasures that could be exchanged for with merit points. However, although the countless treasures were tempting, many people also realized that the abyss of the Imperial Court was extremely dangerous. Even the Imperial Court was using such a method to gather experts. One could imagine how dangerous the abyss was. Imperial Dynasty's decree will probably attract many experts over. Wang Xian murmured. He gathered all the experts of the Imperial Star region. As long as they killed an abyss seed, they would be rewarded with merits. This was a good opportunity for many people to become famous. Once he made a name for himself here, everyone in the Imperial Star region would know about him. He became famous in one battle. Meritorious deeds and fame were fatally attractive to many experts. Even if he knew it would be very dangerous. "Dragon King, should we send some experts over?" said Prime Minister Turtle. The Imperial Court's announcement of gathering all the heroes in the world was very attractive to the Dragon Palace. In the Imperial Court, merit points were exchanged with Abyss Seed crystals. Based on Prime Minister Turtle's calculations, one Abyss Seed crystal would be slightly higher than the market price. The Dragon Palace could definitely send people over to kill Abyss Seeds in exchange for merit points and elixirs. Before sending people over, we need to understand a little more. Wang Xian said plainly. He took out the computer and sent a message to Emperor Star Lady. Not long after, the Emperor Star Maiden sent him a long reply. The content was about the current situation over at the Imperial Court. She was currently at the Abyss battlefield between the Imperial Court and the Cold Night Island. As the princess of the Imperial Court, she didn't head to the core battlefield. Instead, she was at a relatively safe place. Based on what she said, the situation over there was a little cruel. It was a fact that an undying god king from the Imperial Court had fallen. Moreover, the Abyss Seeds over there were different from the northern battlefront. The Abyss Seeds there knew how to create terrains and use the battlefield. They even had unique artifacts. At the entrance of the Abyss, there were all sorts of huge Abyss meteorites floating in the air. These meteorites were extremely tough. There were even some Abyss forests floating in the air. The Abyss Seeds used these terrains to expand the Abyss. If they wanted to stop them, they had to enter the Abyss to hunt. After entering, it was hard to say who was the prey and who was the hunter. Therefore, the Imperial Court had suffered huge losses. Based on what Emperor Star Lady knew, the Imperial Court had lost no less than 100,000 undying god kings in the 2 months since the war started. This was a huge number. Therefore, facing such losses, the Imperial Court opened the treasury to attract experts from the Imperial Star region to ease the pressure. They know how to create terrains and have already lost no less than 100,000 undying god king Abyss Seeds. How terrifying! Wang Xian's eyes flashed. Under such circumstances, it wasn't worth it for the experts of Dragon Palace to go over. Because the Imperial Court didn't have the upper hand in the Abyss War. Even if Dragon Palace combined all their forces, they wouldn't be able to change the situation. Wang Xian, are you coming over? This time, the Imperial Court has promised many benefits. You can bring the experts of Dragon Palace over to take a look. At this moment, Emperor Star Lady sent another message. Should I go over to take a look? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows as he pondered deeply. All right, send me a location. I'll go over to take a look in a few days. After thinking for a while, he decided to go over to the Imperial Court. If the situation wasn't too dangerous, he could call some experts from Dragon Palace over. If the situation was too dangerous, he could lead a few experts to kill some powerful undying god king Abyss Seeds. Killing a few rank 9 undying god kings would be a huge boost for Dragon Palace. When Emperor Star Lady heard that Wang Xian was coming, she was overjoyed and immediately sent him a location. Prime Minister Turtle, let Roving Sword bring 2 Dragon Guards and Roving Heavens. I'm preparing to head over to the Imperial Court to take a look. Wang Xian looked at the location sent by Emperor Star Lady and said to Prime Minister Turtle. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Soon, Roving Sword, Roving Heavens, and 2 Dragon Guards walked over. The 2 Dragon Guards had rank 9 undying god king strength. As for Roving Heavens, he had reached the pinnacle of god king strength. Chapter 2698, Let's go to the Imperial Court. Wang Xian led Roving Heavens and the 3 Dragon Guards to the teleportation formation. Currently, there were only people from Dragon Palace on planet Gutian. On this planet, there was a teleportation formation that led to the Imperial Court. The 5 of them entered the teleportation formation and disappeared instantly. When they reappeared, they were already on a planet of the Imperial Court. Welcome to the Imperial Court, heroes. Just as they walked out, a mechanical voice sounded. Wang Xian was taken aback by the voice as he looked around. There was a huge and eye-catching sign in front of him that said, "Welcome to the Imperial Court, heroes of the Imperial Star Domain." Seems like the Imperial Court values the experts from other places in the Imperial Star Domain very much. Wang Xian murmured, "My lords, are you from the Chasm battlefield?" At this moment, a beautiful lady walked over and asked them respectfully. Yes. Wang Xian nodded. "My lords, we have a special teleportation formation that leads to the Chasm battlefield directly. Please follow me." The beautiful lady led Wang Xian and the rest to the side. "Seems like the Imperial Court is well prepared," Wang Xian said plainly. This planet was only one of the subordinate planets of the Imperial Court. This subordinate planet had a teleportation array that led directly to the battlefield. It was obvious that the Imperial Court had made sufficient preparations to welcome the arrival of the powerful cultivators of the Imperial Star region. "Yes, my lord. Those who came to the Chasm battlefield are the heroes of the Imperial Star Domain. Naturally, the Imperial Court is well prepared. The teleportation formation is just ahead. I wish you all the best in the Chasm battlefield and make a name for yourselves." The beautiful lady bowed and said respectfully, "This is much more convenient." Wang Xian walked towards the teleportation formation directly. He originally thought it would take a few days to get it. It would only take tens of minutes, which was very convenient. Wang. The moment he stepped into the teleportation formation, he didn't even have to pay the divine stones. There are so many people. Seems like there are many experts coming to the Chasm battlefield this time. The treasures that the Imperial Court brought out this time are too attractive. Even many undying god kings in seclusion have rushed over. Everyone in the world knows about this battle. I heard that the Imperial dynasty created a hero ranking and people are ranked based on merit. This attracted many experts who want to rise up. As long as one accumulates enough merit points, one can join the Imperial Court. Many people want to jump through the Dragon Gate. I heard that Pingyi Island's Heavenly Sword King also came. I wonder if it's true. That's a peak undying god king existence. Soon, they heard bustling noises. Wang Xian and the rest appeared in a huge square. This plaza was so big that there was no end to it. The entire planet must have been used as a teleportation formation. In the sky, there were 4 big words, "Heroes Gather." In the surrounding area, there were many more eye-catching buildings. The names of the buildings were all the same, Merit Exchange Office. There are quite a few experts here. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings and revealed a surprised look. With a glance, there were at least 4,000 to 5,000 undying god kings. Seems like there might be hundreds of thousands or even more undying god kings attending this hero gathering. He murmured. The Imperial Star Domain was huge. This time, the danger of the abyss mainly came from the Imperial Court and the 3 islands. Other places were not affected. In the boundless Imperial Star Domain, no one knew how many experts were hidden. Not to mention others, there were at least 1 million experts above the God King realm. What the Imperial Court brought out this time was indeed very attractive. "Come, let's go to the planet in front." Wang Xian took a look at the position on the artificial intelligence system. With a swift move, he flew towards the planet ahead. There were hundreds of planets in front of him. These planets were arranged in a row and experts could be seen flying on them. In front of these hundreds of planets were meteorites of all shapes and sizes, densely packed together. In the depths of the meteorites, roars could be heard. That was the abyss. Within the abyss, there were experts coming in and out from time to time. On this planet, Wang Xian came to the top of a planet and sensed the location of the Dragon Palace members. He immediately flew over. Not long ago, Wang Xian sent an 8th Order Undying God King and 3 7th Order Undying God Kings to follow the Emperor Star Maiden. Wang Xian came to the top of a palace. His yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes swept across and landed in a large hall. There were over a dozen people in the hall, including the Emperor Star Maiden. He did not greet them. Instead, he moved and landed in front of the hall. His gaze swept across the surroundings and he immediately walked inside. Inside the hall, There were over a dozen young and middle-aged men sitting there. When they saw Wang Xian suddenly appear, they were slightly stunned. The Emperor Star Maiden stood up immediately, her face filled with joy. "Who are you?" A young man sized Wang Xian up and asked with a slight frown. "Wang Xian." But at this moment, the Emperor Star Maiden stood up and walked towards Wang Xian with joy on her face. "How did you get here so quickly?" The Emperor Star Maiden walked to his side and grabbed his arm. "Your Imperial Court's teleportation formation is quite convenient. I arrived in less than 10 minutes. Wang Xian said indifferently. "Star Maiden, who is he?" In the hall, the crowd was shocked to see Wang Xian. It was especially so for the young man who spoke just now. When he saw the Emperor Star Maiden holding the arm of a young man intimately, his face turned ugly. He sized Wang Xian up and asked with a gloomy face. "Him?" Seeing the gloomy face of the young man, the Emperor Star Maiden smirked and said, "My friend. Sorry, my friend is here. I have to entertain him. Brother Fa, Brother Ma, sorry. Let's talk tomorrow." As she spoke, she waved to the few middle-aged men beside her and pulled Wang Xian's arm. "Let's go. I have to entertain you well." Wang Xian looked at her with a smile and followed behind. Behind them, the young man's expression changed as he looked at this scene with uncertainty. The other few middle-aged men looked at Wang Xian with contemplation. After exchanging glances, they left immediately. "Go and find out the identity of that young man." Seeing the Emperor Star Maiden and Wang Xian disappearing, the young man clenched his fists and shouted to the two middle-aged men beside him. "Yes, young master." The two middle-aged men nodded immediately. "I've just arrived and you're already using me as a shield. That's not a good idea." Following the Emperor Star Maiden to a courtyard, Wang Xian smiled and said to her, "That guy is too disgusting. He's not as handsome as you, but he wants to be a toad lusting after a swan." The Emperor Star Maiden lifted her head slightly and snorted.